Hey, good morning. We're going to jump in right at example 1. So that should be page S4, the first example for lesson 2. It's called real world, positive, and negative numbers and 0. So example 1 says take it to the bank. It says read silently that little scenario right there. I'm going to have you read that silently. You can pause the video right now until you're finished reading. Okay, once you finished reading, you probably read through it and looked and said, and looked at below and said words I already know, words I want to know, and words I learned. And I'm going to guess that most of you probably knew all of the words, if not all of you knew all the words. But there's a couple words in there I'd like you to circle or highlight or make a note of. The words are received, account, deposit, credited, receipt, allowance, withdraw, fee, charge, and debit. And you're probably familiar with many of these words. You've probably heard them or seen them or used them in some way, even on your own. But they all mean some form of dealing with money, either positive money or negative money. And we'll get into that a little bit later. So those are the words that I'd like you should have circled those words. If you need to go back and replay them so you can hear me say them again, go back and do that, and you'll circle them. If you flip the page, you'll see the exact same story again. My phone's ringing. So you're going to have to listen to this phone call. This is Howard. Hey. He's not here. No. All right. Huh? Okay. Again, in exercise 1 and 2, read the example and circle those words that we already said we were going to circle. In part 2, go through and look at each event. So when it says, in part 2, it says, read the individual description or write each individual description below as an integer. Remember, an integer is a number, positive or negative, that includes 0. Model the integer on a number line using an appropriate scale. And scale is what we talked about at the beginning of the class, when you can increase by whatever increments you want, whether it's 1s, 2s, 5s, 10s, etc. So write the integer and model on that number line. For the first one, it says, open a bank account with $0. What integer should you write? Hopefully you said 0. 0 is an integer. And we can just model that on a number line like so. And let's go through this fairly quickly. Make a $150 deposit. What is the integer involved? Hopefully you said 150. How can we model that on a number line? Well, let's start with our number line. We need to show 150. So I'm going to start my number line with the 0 on the left-hand side, and I want to figure out what my scale is going to be. Again, you can count it by 1s, but that will take you an awful long time. 2s will also take a long time. 5s is getting better. 10s is probably the best way to go to show. So I want to count it by 10s. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 150. And you could just show your number line scaled by 10s from 0 to 150. Perfect. Number 3, kind of tricky. Credit an account for $150. Even though we deposited 150 and credit really means the same thing, we're not going to go from 150 and add another 150 to it. Let's just model that again. So 0 on the left, 150 What's another way we might be able to scale that? Think about a second way to scale that and go ahead and do that. Again, if I'm going too quick, pause. You may go back and rewatch, but I'm going to go kind of quick so these videos aren't half an hour long. Make a deposit for $25. What is the integer? Now, write a number line, and how are you going to scale it? And do the following. Again, keep going until you're finished. So a bank makes a charge of $5, and Tim withdraws $35. Write your integer and your number line with an appropriate scale. Okay, so pause because I'm going to go right into example 2, and you might not be done with example 1. All right, example 2 has everything to do with that thermometer to the right. So this thermometer is in 2 scales. One is Celsius and one is Fahrenheit. 2 scales you should be familiar with, mostly the Fahrenheit scale because that's what we use to measure temperature. Okay, today's about 45 degrees outside. That's kind of cold, but not really that cold. All right, so every A through E has everything to do with that scale right there. Part A, the boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. Perfect. Where is 100 degrees Celsius located on the thermometer to the right? Well, find your Celsius column and find 100. It's not there. That's what you should write. It is not located on the thermometer. B, on a vertical line, a line that goes which direction? Up and down is what you should have said in your brain. On a vertical line, describe the position of the integer that represents 100 degrees Celsius. So I drew my vertical number line, and I started with 0 at the bottom. If I want to represent 100 degrees Celsius, 100 degrees Celsius, describe the position. Well, describe the position. What does that mean? Well, if we look at our thermometer to the right, this one only goes to 50. So if I want to draw my number line to 100, where should the 50 go? That's right in the middle. 50 degrees Celsius. So what could you say about 100 compared to 50? Hey, Carlos.
Hi.
Hey, just making a video for you.
Good.
Yeah, we're going to have this conversation on the video, and everyone gets to hear it.
Yay.
Lucky you.
Yay.
That's right. You might say that 100.
No.
I might need to make a second video. Okay, go ahead and finish example 2 on your own, and I'll see you in part 2 of the video.